Hey guys, it's Nathan from Arms of Illum, and I'm here with another custom saber reveal. Today we're going to be looking at this Hasbro Black Series Darth Vader conversion that I just completed for Rob. This is a total conversion, like many of the recent builds that I've done, and as such it features a Nano Biscotte V4 soundboard, a custom chassis using MHS chassis parts, an 18650 lithium-ion battery, and a 2-watt bass speaker from the Custom Saber Shop. At the front of the hilt we've got the Custom Saber Shop's Darth Vader conversion kit with a Tri-Cree deep red white LED. It's the first deep red Vader that I've done. I've done the deep red with the red, I've done red and red, but this one is unique in that it's the first deep red that I've done, and I think it turned out fantastic. In fact, for those of you who are watching who are on the fence about this, I think the deep red is the way to go. You simply don't lose that much brightness, and I think you'll see that in a moment, although videos like this aren't exactly the best way to gauge that brightness. I'm just really impressed with the overall look of this red, and the fact that even though people say it doesn't appear to be as bright as the normal red, it's close enough that I would probably go this route moving forward if it were my saber. Obviously I'll give folks the choice on that one. Now the interesting thing that I found with this build, and I've run into it before, is that the TCSS kit, or the conversion kit, was extremely tight in this hilt. Like I said, it's been an issue in the past. This one was probably the tightest one I've worked with, certainly tighter than that 2003 Master Replicas Darth Vader that I just converted, although that isn't necessarily fair because that hilt is just scaled larger. So because it was tight, I actually had to sand on this guy a little bit to get him to fit. Fortunately, with a little bit of work, it fit just fine. But I would love if the Custom Saber Shop, if they're listening, would take maybe 1/1000th or 2 off of the outer diameter of that blade holder, just so it slides in a little bit better. This thing was a real bear to get in, which is kind of weird. The other thing, and Rob already knows this, I've talked to him about it, Hasbro actually drilled this hole right here in the saber that originally had the knurled screw, now has a new knurled screw for the conversion kit. Hasbro drilled that at about a 5-degree angle. What that meant was that this new knurled screw that is supposed to also mate with the new blade holder and provide, 1, blade retention, but 2, also is supposed to help support the overall holder, would not line up properly. I couldn't screw it into the new blade holder even if I could get it through the hilt. So I had to drill out that hole in the hilt. What that meant was that yes, there's a little bit less support up here at the front. Fortunately, underneath this box here is another screw which retains the whole blade holder and works just fine on its own. But I was a little bit disappointed to see that. I haven't run into that with any of the Hasbro builds before, so that was unique. I found a way around it, but certainly a first and something I'll have to keep my eyes out for in the future. I think I've covered everything. I've talked a little bit about the internals. We'll take a look at those in a moment. The other thing I guess I want to point out here is that, like on my other builds, I put the momentary switch. The new momentary switch is right here on the underside of the clamp. Now I know some folks like to take the bubble strip and put a switch underneath it so that you can press down on it. Obviously, some of you may not be familiar with these hilts, but originally out of the box using the stock components, the Darth Vader hilt and the Luke Skywalker hilt activate with this sliding switch here. It works really well. It looks nice. It kind of blends with the overall hilt, but unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your perspective, the Nano Biscotte in here does not support a latching switch. So, had to get a little bit creative. I've been doing this on several of my builds, and I just love the way that little momentary switch blends in with everything, and how this little faux lever here protects it from being accidentally hit. That way, if you've got this saber on your belt while you're at a convention or something like that, if you're a cosplayer, you're not going to accidentally bump the activation switch. You don't have to worry about it. It's awesome. So let's go ahead and open this guy up. One thing is to note here is that I do not have the grill installed on the pommel just yet. Rob, if you're watching this before the saber arrives, don't worry. I'm going to put that grill on here actually as soon as this video is complete. I just didn't want to have wet epoxy on the saber while I was messing with it. So we'll go ahead and unscrew it. Works just like the original, except now the guts are all retained. That's because, I'm going to set this in my pocket here, it looks super cool with it in my shirt pocket, but that's because the whole chassis is retained using an 832 set screw that I've drilled and tapped into the hilt there. It's on the underneath side of the hilt, so when you're holding it, you can't see it. And I kind of like that. I also put it in those grooves to kind of just help blend it a little bit. So when you're holding the saber, you don't notice it, but it's there. And then all you have to do is take, and I'm going to include one of these, a hex key, loosen it just a tad, and I warn you, once you start to loosen it, you're going to want to hold the saber horizontally, because the chassis does slide out rather easily. Boom, just like that. So let's take a look at the chassis. At the front there, you've got your Nano Biscotte, version 4, fantastic soundboard. I love these. I'm so glad that Plecter Labs came out with these, and it has a new motion sensor, an extra sound bank. Really, these things are fantastic. Underneath that, I've accidentally activated the saber there. Underneath that, you've got your Trilogy lithium-ion battery, 2600 milliamp hours, so you should get some pretty solid runtime out of that guy. Recharge port here in the back, and the speaker right there. So we'll just go ahead and slide all of this back in. It slides in very easily, and then just push it in so that there's a little bit of space there so you're not crunching it with the pommel. Tighten it down. And you don't have to go super tight here either, just till you start to meet some resistance and it's not going anywhere. Then just take the pommel and twist it back on. Get rid of the fuzz out of my pocket. And there you have it. Now this saber has 3 custom sound fonts, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about them while I put in this blade. I'm just going to use a demo blade for these purposes. Rob already has sourced his own blade for this. This saber has 3 custom sound fonts. The first of which is Lord Blako's Vader 1, his Rogue One themed font. I've used that a few times thus far. I know there are a few other Rogue One themed fonts out there, but Lord Blako's was one of the first. It's fantastic. It really captures the way that the saber sounds in the film, especially that last sequence there towards the end. Just really phenomenal font. Then the second font is from Genesis Custom Sabers, and it's Vader OT. It's a little bit more subdued than the Vader 1, the Rogue One font, and that's because in the original trilogy the Vader saber did sound a little bit different than it did in Rogue One. Then finally in the third bank, and those of you who aren't familiar with the Nano Biscotte V4 may not be aware that it now has 3 sound banks as opposed to the 2 from the version 3 and versions before that. In the third bank we've got Sith Lord Unleashed, also from Lord Blako. It's a much different font than your standard Vader style, whereas the Vaders tend to have a very stable hum, powerful swings with some flutter in each one. This is more of an unstable blade with quicker clash and swing effects. So it's almost like a mirrored version of the Vader sounds, but also very Sithy, very dark, deep hum. That really, I think, offers a little bit of additional variety. So we'll cycle through those, you'll get a chance to hear all of them, and then I'll close up from there. Let's go ahead and turn this guy on. This is Vader 1. this one, with this font, I've simply taken that white and put it on top of the red for the flash on clash. I didn't really pull out much of the red for those clashes, just because I wanted to have a little bit more variety. You'll see in a moment that I did something a little bit different with Vader OT. You can really hear that flutter with each swing, and the sensitivity, as you can hear and see, is just fantastic with the Nano Biscotte EV4. Let's go ahead and turn it off. Alright, so move to the next font. You'll just hold it down, past that first beat, and that's the Vader OT boot sound. It's a similar sounding font. With this one, however, I've got a little less flicker in the blade. I've pumped in just a little bit of the white LED to give it more of a pinkish tone. It's not pink, per se. It's still red, but it's a little bit lighter red because I like to do that for some of the original Trilogy style fonts, just to help match that saber. In the original Trilogy films, the sabers were a little bit more washed out, and so this helps kind of give that effect and give you a little bit more variety. There's less flicker with this, and when you clash, I turn the red down to almost half power or a little bit less so that you can get a very dramatic and quick white flash. Turn it off. And now I should have noted at the beginning here of the font portion here, that in between each font is a mute on the go functionality, which is also new to the Nano Biscotte V4. In order to do that, you simply wait for that first beep and release. And now you've got a muted saber for stunt type work. Then turning it off. And that mute on the go keeps the same lighting parameters of the font that precedes it. Just so you know that, it's just a heads up.
Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
I love the Emperor Palpatine boot here. I'm not normally a fan of voiced boot sounds. I know that Rob, you're also not the biggest fan, but this one just sounds fantastic. It really fits with the films. It's not like it's somebody recording in their, you know, with their computer mic saying something. This is from the film, and it sounds fantastic, and it works with this hilt quite well. Now I'm not sure. I guess you can kind of see it on my shirt there. Look at that flicker. It's a quick flicker, but it's got a deeper dig into the blade. That's actually kind of what Plecter Labs calls it. The flicker's got more depth to it, and it's very quick. So it looks unstable. And you can hear that electric hum, staticky sound with this Sith Lord Unleashed font. In fact, it really does vibrate the entire hilt, which is kind of cool. Some different sounds with this one. For some extra variety. So, I think that pretty well covers it. Rob, this will be shipping out tomorrow, hopefully. I'm planning to get by the post office and ship it across the pond to you, and hopefully you'll have it very soon. If you guys have any questions about this build or would like to have me do one for you, post that in the comments, or better yet, head over to my website. I'll have a link in the description for the page that's relevant to these conversions. And check out the other services I offer, because I really will do installs on just about any hilt. If you like what you've seen, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got more saber videos coming, and be sure to like this while you're at it. Thanks, guys.